Hey, what's good with the world? It's your boy G the Gangster, and we back with episode 2 of the Sneaker Warrior podcast, exclusively on the Sneaker Warrior Network. I'm here today with DARRiS, engineer, artist, producer, jack of all trades. What is it that you don't do?
At this moment, I don't know.
And of course, sneakerhead. Yeah, so tell us a little about yourself. Where you from?
I'm from West Nyack, Rockland County, New York. So it's like kind of just outside the city for like people don't know. Be like 20, 30 minutes from the Bronx, from the bridge. And yeah, that's where I was born and raised, grew up.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know there's a lot of talent. I'm gonna say this because, you know, y'all are watching us from all over. There's a lot of talent outside of New York City that gets unnoticed, you know, with Westchester County, Rockland County, even in Putnam County. And tell us about your music.
So right now I'm working on my second project, like my second album. I executive produced it, had other producers and like my main keyboardist on it as well. Julian, Yaz, Cash, these are like all my co-producers as well. I engineered it, we just finished up the cover art. I had this really talented girl named Callie. She just worked on the cover art, and so we're probably gonna put out the project, I say, in the next month and a half. Okay. We got a show lined up at Pianos on the Lower East Side. So we're gonna be doing like a set there next month, and yeah, I'm excited, super excited for everything.
Yeah, we definitely, before you go, we gotta definitely give the people the info. Yeah. But you said the second project. Yeah. When did the first project drop?
So the first project came out February 2021, and so basically I was at a point in time where I was engineering for about 4 to like 6 months. I had interned at IMI Studios downtown, and as soon as I started interning there, like COVID had happened. Okay. And so like I was just seeing all different types of people, like French Montana, Pierre Bourne, Donald Moore walk through the studio, and I was like, at the time I was going to school and like working 2 jobs, and like I was like, nah, like I gotta really get on this, and like so I wanted to, you know, put in my 2 weeks at the jobs and everything, and trying to finish up school. And as soon as I did, COVID had happened. Wow. And so like I was just in the crib, and I was like, damn, what I'm gonna do? Like I've been producing at this time for like maybe 3 or 4 years, and I was trying to send out beats to different artists and this and that, but like it wasn't connecting. A lot of the stuff I was doing was just so different, you know. And so I started just engineering myself, just started rapping on beats and singing and stuff like that. And probably come around August later that year, August, September, they kind of threw me in the hot seat when I went back into the studio and just started engineering. And different artists that I was around, I was like, all right, let me pull this artist, let me pull this artist, and I'm gonna, you know, put together like a production project. And I got really cool people around me just to like hop on tracks and just make some really cool music. And that's how I put out my first project that was called Wasted Moonlight. And so mainly I did the production, all of it, and I did vocals here and there, but like I said, with the help of my engineer, Chris Marcel, he just really helped me put it all together, and that was a really cool experience for sure.
And we can go stream that anywhere, right?
Yeah,
all
that's
platforms?
On all platforms, yeah. And then my next project, Escape in Daylight, which is part of this whole trilogy that I'm working on, is coming out in May, so.
I think that's something that most producers go through, especially if you hear a producer that actually raps. He was already a rapper, or he went through the same things where you're sending music out to people and it's just not making the connection. Everybody's telling you, I want this beat, I want that beat. And either for whatever reason it's not making the connection, or it's not to what the producer expected, and you end up finding yourself in the lab, pen to paper, like, let's go.
Literally. You know, I wasn't trying to wait on anybody, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It was like, even if I did connect with somebody and they had records, and I was like, all right, so let's put this out. They're waiting and they're trying to do stuff, and I'm just like, all right. I just like didn't have patience for it.
Wait. We're gonna rewind this back. not physically on the real, but say that one more time to people out here. You didn't want to do what?
Basically, I didn't want to wait on other people and other artists to, you know, put stuff out. So I was like, all right, you know, I'm sitting on this great music and this great content that I'm working on, and I just want to, you know, and I was like, let's get it out. And, you know, I even have a problem with it myself with my own records, where I'm like, all right, sitting on stuff and showing it to other people, and like, yo, you got to put this out. Like, I'm like, well, you know, I'm trying to figure out a lot of things. I'm such a perfectionist with what I do, you know, and it's like, oh, I got to get the mix down, I got to get this, and I got to get the cover art, and got to get the production right. This snare got to sound right, the drums got to sound right, you know, the melodies got to fit together. And it's like, you know, you have to also remember that, you know, putting this stuff out and letting the people decide and letting the people rock with it is like how it will really carry out, you know? A lot of us as artists and creators and producers, we're so focused on trying to make things so perfect, but sometimes some of the greatest stuff that we like isn't perfect. You know what I'm saying? It's how it was, it's how it feels right in the moment. And so you got to really just carry with that.
That's how most of the time on the project, the people's favorite song is not the artist's favorite song.
Yeah, that's so true.
I would say about 99% of the time.
It really is, it really is.
And there's times, I'm sure there's times that you've put stuff out that you felt like was subpar, you heard it and you're like, wait a minute, I missed this. But everybody else is like, no, that's it. That's the one.
For real, for real.
We our biggest critics.
We always will be, you know?
So how do you correlate like the sneaker culture with hip hop?
See, it's everything. I believe music and fashion go hand in hand. Art, music, fashion, all goes together. You know, growing up, my favorite artist and probably most influential on my music is Kanye, for sure. And just seeing how he's developed everything over the past, you know, decade, 2 decades.
Because something just came in. People want to know which Kanye.
I guess Kanye. Not so much.
That one,
you know
that
what
guy.
I'm saying?
Kanye, the back fat.
And you know, just seeing, because I was in high school when, you know, the Yeezys started first coming out, more so middle school, like when the Nike Yeezys were coming out. And he was just such a monumental figure in hip hop and in culture. And seeing that correlate into the fashion side, because, you know, before he really started with like Louis Vuitton and started doing and designing sneakers and Mr. Hudson and stuff like that, and you know, that was him trying to bring the high fashion world into hip hop, into the culture and everything like that, which wasn't done before. You know, and he had like-minded people around him, such as Virgil, we'll get into that later, and such as Jerry Lorenzo working on his design team, and the way that he was able to bring that together was so crazy at that point in time.
Take us from clothing to couture.
For real. And so it was like, but they also blended the streetwear aspect into it as well. And so seeing that growing up, it was so crazy, and it was such a battle between Jordan, who was such a staple in the sneaker game and culture, battled Yeezy and Kanye, what he was doing. And Kanye was the first artist, non-athlete, to get a shoe by Nike. And so that was such a huge door that opened up for all these different artists now, like Travis Scott and Cactus Jack that are doing their collabs, Billie Eilish that are doing their collabs, you know, and different artists that are coming along the way. So that was just like such a huge eye opener for me, and I'm being like, wow, like, and just being a part of it as well, because I would camp out for different sneakers, and, you know, seeing how people would line up a whole month for, you know, the Yeezy 1 Zens to come out and stuff like that, and that kind of shaped how the culture became also dangerous later on the line too, you know what I'm saying, and how the transition from camping out for a month or a week to get your favorite shoe came to more so of the online. And
I was gonna say, look how fast that happened. Now we're online fighting against bots and stuff now.
Literally.
Instead of being out physically on the line.
And seeing the transgression as that as well. Like, I remember the first time I camped out for a sneaker, like, I tried to tell my mom, I was like, yo, like, I can get these Brev 4s, and like, if I get 2 pairs, I could flip them, the other one will be free, you know what I'm saying? And I spent like a whole 3 days trying to convince her, and she was like, all right, fine, blah, blah, blah. And so like, I was like, yo, I'm gonna give you money back and give you a little more on top. And I remember I camped out for like 2 nights with one of my friends in the mall, and we was just there. It was maybe like a small group of us or whatever, and it was my first experience. I was like, yo, I was mad hyped, I waited all night, was up, got the shoes the next day, and I got 2 pairs and wound up selling one later on. And that was when the whole meetup thing was starting to happen as well. So this was probably like 2011, 2012. And this is when I saw like the sneaker culture marketplace really starting to develop, with the sneaker cons, the Soul Exchange and everything like that was starting to come up. So that was a whole nother experience. And so when I went to get these sneakers and flip them and everything like that, I remember the next day I went to go wear them at school, and everyone was like, oh, those are mad cool, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of kids that where I came from, like, weren't into sneakers like that. They weren't into fashion. They was wearing, you know, regular polo tees and maybe boat shoes, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of grew up in the suburbs and stuff like that. So like, I started putting kids on and my friends onto like this whole culture. I was like, yo, like, not only could we get fly and get flea, like, you could also make money off this. You know
and how long ago was that?
This is probably 2012, so this is a little over a decade
and look at now.
Yeah, it's crazy now. You know, like, we had so many ideas of how we wanted to develop things, and we wanted to start our own sneaker custom, you know, business. You wanted to open up a boutique shop and stuff like that. And it's like, we never really came through with it because of how dynamically it changed so much. You know, we did go to the Soul Exchange and sneaker cons. We had our own tables, and we had the Yeezys, we had the Jordans, we had all these rare shoes that you know, we was kids at 14 years old making thousands of dollars off of, you know, doing sneakers and stuff like that. But we didn't have the vision of the long term with it at that time. You know what I'm saying? I wish I had a mentor at that point in time that came along and was like, yo, this is how you could go with it. It was just us getting fly
and to be honest, a mentor might not even have seen that vision back then either.
True. You know? And it was just like, at that time, we was 14, 15 years old, just getting fly and getting money with it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it was legal, it was dope, and like we just had such an aura with us when we had these sneakers on, you know, Supreme Blazers and stuff like that, Yeezys that were just like, wow, you guys spent $1,000 on it? No, I didn't spend $1,000. I said it could go for $1,000, you know, $2,000 or whatever, but I got it for retail or whatever. I came down, you know what I'm saying? And so at this point in time, probably towards like 2014, 2015, when Kanye started to shift to Adidas, it was different how the sneaker culture was unraveling in terms of how you can get sneakers. Everything started transitioning to the online. I remember like, probably the first sneaker that I was trying to get was the What the Kobe's, the What the Kobe Ace. Rest in peace to Kobe, another sneaker pioneer with what he was doing. It was really crazy because Nike had declared, it was like, all right, you cannot wait at any of our stores. It's not gonna be in any of our stores. You have to get this online. You have to wait. You have to put in a lottery system. This is when the lottery system started like developing and stuff. And next thing you know, they're sold out in less than a minute. You know, and it's like, damn, how did people get it so fast? You know, it takes you a couple minutes to fill out your card, put in your card information, everything like that. And that's when I started learning about the bots and everything like that. And that completely changed everything because you didn't have to go and risk going camping overnight, dealing with people that would potentially rob you or trying to even kill you for some sneakers. And it just made it a whole different game because there was some kid that could go and get his mom's credit card and be like, oh, I'm gonna get 30 pairs of these because I got the bot, and it you know what I'm saying, nobody's on this timing. And then you have people that just develop these whole businesses based off of that as well. So that was a whole different texture of it.
And it's crazy how in depth the sneaker game goes. That's the next thing that they have to have a documentary about, is about how the sneaker game in itself has evolved. You know, have the origin of it and how it's actually evolved. What's your favorite shoe of all time?
Favorite shoe of all time? Probably the Nike SB Yellow Lobsters. And those are like a rare coveted pair. Like I really love SBs. Probably SBs and Jordans and some of the Yeezys that came out with, you know, with the first 3 seasons of Adidas. But the Yellow Lobsters, I remember when I was in high school, I was like, wow, like they only made a certain amount of pairs. You know, if you find them, they're like $5,000, you know, and stuff like that. Like I just really liked how they went into the design of the early SBs, you know, doing the Pigeon collab, doing the Paris collabs, and really just finding these really cool designers that just made these custom shoes and made the limited pairs of it. And like I was just like, man, if I can get my hands on a pair of these one day, it's like, all right, that's it. Like, I'm good, like, you know? Those and probably at one point in time it was Miami Night Lows, LeBrons, but then they re-released those, and like those came out again. But like back then when those were probably going for like 2,000 like on the market. And so it was like a lot of these different rare sneakers that they would just develop and have just limited designs to, that people would be like, all right, bam, the price just went up automatically for it. So
now musically, I know you said Kanye was one of your influences. Actually, even though I made the comment, Kanye is one of my biggest influences too. But who else are some of your influences
for music? You know, I'm a huge fan of Party Next Door, The Weeknd, Pharrell on production side and artists, Timbaland, some of the more recent people of like Metro Boomin, Southside.
You're like a younger version of me, man. Damn.
And you know, I feel as though like my music is if you know, The Weeknd's vocals, Party Next Door's Brandon.
That was gonna be my next question. Was how do you describe your sound?
And Kanye's production all came together on a track. That's how I feel like my music is a resemblance.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's different, you know.
So also, I'm hearing you do clothing as well.
Yeah.
Like we said, jack of all trades. I said, what is you don't do? And your brand is Swoogie, right?
Yeah. So me and my friends, you know, during this whole time that we was doing this sneaker thing, so like I said, I brought my friends into this culture and just was like, yo, like, we're gonna fly, we're gonna money with all this stuff. And I was like, yo, let's create like our own language. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna just start talking our own way and just like be so exclusive to like who we are and what we're doing. You know, we was like so unique to ourselves. And you know, we was just sitting at lunch one time and we was just coming up with different words, and like one of the words we came up with was Swoogie, but with an I at first at the end. And like everything we did, we would just involve Swoogie in it. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, so spell that for the people. I'm seeing it on the chain right here, but I want to
so I have
spell
like a little
you.
chain of it. But basically, like we came up with this word called Swoogie, and like we used it with everything. So it's like, oh, you got the new Jordan, man, those are Swoogie. You know what I'm saying? Everything we did was Swoogie. Oh, you know, got a new car, whatever. Oh, this track is Swoogie. Everything we did was just like Swoogie was the new swag. It was dope. You know what I'm saying? So we used it for everything, and it caught on within our high school. Everyone was just saying Swoogie and calling me Swoogie and everything like that. And it wasn't until we got to college that, you know, me and my best friends, Randy and Yaz, like they went to the mall and just went to like some little boutique shop and just got it printed on a tee. You know what I'm saying? Got it printed and embroidered on a tee. And so I looked at it, they came up with the design and everything. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, and so this was summer 16. And we went out, you know, somewhere to the bars that night, and we was just wearing the t-shirts and the hats. And we was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? We just had that aura about us. It was like, yo, we just made this is our brand, whatever. And we had no intentions of really selling it whatsoever.
Yeah, because even as I'm speaking to you, you got star quality. As I'm talking to you, for real.
And like, you know, we were just carrying ourselves in a certain way because we was like, yo, this is us, you know? And it wasn't until we was leaving one of the spots and one of the bouncers at the club or the bar was like, yo, what is that? That looks cool. Like, he was like, oh, this is our own brand. Like, we just made it today. You know, he was like, where can I get one? And we was like, he
said he made it today, had orders on the first day.
You know what I'm saying? And so it was like, he was like, where can I get one? We was like, just, you know, we'll take down your number and we'll let you know when we start production and stuff. And we didn't wind up doing production until a couple months later once we found, you know, a good manufacturer and was able to develop all of it. And there was so much hype around it when we was in school in Buffalo. Like, we was just wearing it for ourselves and everybody wanted one. And so we was like, all right, we got to really put the pedal to the metal of this and figure this out. And so we just made one collection. The first collection we had made was just blank hoodies, so we would have different colors and we would just have black Swoogie embroidered right here. A lot of the brands, like, they would have their stuff up here, so
the top left,
bit, you know what I'm saying? So we had it right above the pocket, and everyone just, you know, where we was going to school was cold, so, you know, the hoodie was perfect Buffalo, for everything, you know, for everything that you needed. And we had just different flavors and stuff. And the first day that we did it, it sold out. You know, we just had personal orders. People would just, we would put it on Snapchat, we put it on Instagram, people would just hit us up all the time.
How many orders is that?
Probably like
the first one.
50,
50 on the first, that's real good.
So it was just right between all of our friends and everything, and just like from there started growing and growing and growing. And you know, we just kind of put a halt on it when I started working on the music more and more, and I wanted to just get a better manufacturer to increase production and get better quality with us. So right now we're kind of in the middle phase of finding all that.
Because I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you about balancing that out, because, you know, I do clothing too. I got G Stroll apparel. This is actually just This is what, like, the last project I did was Love Gang Project, but I actually had to stop doing clothing and just doing like merch for the artists that I was doing production for, because I couldn't balance it too. I couldn't focus on music and do that at the same time. Didn't matter how many people I had on the team. How do you balance it out?
It's a lot, you know. There'll be some months where I'll be strictly working on music. I'll be strictly just working on beats, you know what I'm saying? And then be some months where I'm just strictly working on songs. Some months where I'm just strictly engineering it, you know? And it's difficult for me to find the balance, but it's like I'll have to be organized and delegate time to being like, okay, I'm gonna work on this project first, then I'm gonna work on this project, then once it's done, I'm gonna get back to this project, you know? And really being organized and having a schedule within what you're trying to do creatively helps. It really helps. Yeah,
definitely. Because the worst thing I had happen to me, I've actually put a product out and couldn't fulfill the orders because I was caught up in a music project and it was just overwhelming. I couldn't even fulfill the orders, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to take some time off and try to figure this out, how to.
And you know, having the right team around, the right people around you to help you is definitely critical.
Definitely.
Because it's like, especially when you're doing so much, producing, engineering, working on designs, everything that you're doing, it helps to have someone that will be strictly focused on one or two things. I was just talking about this with a friend of mine. I was like, yo, I'm like doing so much. I'm wearing 17, 18 hats trying to do this for this artist, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not only doing it for myself as an artist, I'm doing it for other artists as well. I'm producing and engineering for them and producing, you know, records for them, like heavily, and trying to figure out how it all comes together. It helps when you have another ear, another eye that just, or another brain that just comes in and is like, all right, bam, I can help you with specifically design and bring this together. I can help you specifically with marketing and promotion and put this together, you know?
I think that's the hardest part of it is finding somebody that shares your vision. Yeah. It is. A lot of people believe in you, but they don't necessarily share the vision.
And then they can execute it and get it to where you want it to be.
Definitely. So you mentioned that you went to school, the University of Buffalo? So let me ask you, you in music game then, how was the music scene up in Buffalo then? Because I know what it is right now. Right now, it's really buzzing right now.
So, you know, what me and my friends listened to, like, we were really listening to, like, more so of, like, Travis Scott, and, like, Trippie Redd that was coming up at the time in the SoundCloud era, but from Buffalo, you had acts like Griselda that were coming out, like Benny the Butcher, Conway, and Westside Gunn. Like, they was doing their thing, and, like, it was kind of bubbling at the time, and it didn't really fully break onto the mainstream yet, you know? And more people became familiar with them in 2020, 2021, and you know, a couple of years that have passed through. And it's been interesting to see how they've developed so well within the eyes of everybody. You know, they was always there rapping, doing their thing, you know what I'm saying? And like, they was able to bring an element of kind of that old school hip hop production and rap back in and make it more relevant again, make it more
they really embody New York hip hop, and I feel like if you didn't know where they were from, you would definitely swear they were from the five boroughs.
And so it's also interesting to see how some of the newer cats are just like bringing them into their projects as well. There was this snippet that Travis Scott had performed at the Billboard Music Awards, and they had Westside Gunn on it. And I was like, damn, this sounds crazy. Like, you know, and so, you know, shout out to Griselda, shout out to Buffalo,
shout out to Griselda,
you know?
Definitely. Yes. All right, yo, it was great having you on, man. Looking forward to hearing some of your music, man. We gotta let you hear some of the music. Let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on all social platforms at Lord DARRiS, LORDDVRRIS. And then you can check out bouncetribe.com as well. And then DARRiS, DARRIS, on all social media platforms and all DSPs as well.
All right. You got a link in your profile?
Yeah,
for that first project? Because I got to go tap into that first project. I got to tap in and get my favorite joints before the second project come out.
For sure. Yo, and I appreciate you guys, appreciate the progress and everything.
Definitely. Yo, love, bro.
All right. Bless.